Welcome to GBALL Vision, everyone. I hope you are having a fantastic day today. We are going to be covering 7 knives that you might have forgotten about. And we're going to kick it off with this Prayer 2, which is an AM8 knives or Migron knives. It's AM8 branded. This came out earlier this year, and it's an exceptional value. For the money, this is so hard to beat, guys. You're getting an S90V blade steel, which is a very premium steel, a super steel. They PVD coated this boy. You have a modified drop point, modified clip point blade, great ergonomics on this titanium anodized handle here. You have matching pocket clip and backspacer on this guy. You have micro milled diamond milling done here, which adds a nice amount of grip on this guy. The blade is nice and slicey. I have actually used the crap out of this thing, and it has done a phenomenal job. You can get up here with the fingertip for just light duty, easy does it type tasks. You wouldn't want to get a full grip up there. The detent on this thing is solid. You can thumb flick it out, reverse flick it out, and then push button or light switch this guy out. You have great access to the lock bar with some jimping and a minor chamfer there. Great job. No branding, barely at all on the blade. You have that little tiny logo that you can barely see. Good with me, no issues. And this knife comes in at well under $200. If this was like a Wii branded knife, this would be 300 bucks, most likely, or very close to it. So to get this knife in at well under $200, AM8 and Migron, they are just doing a spectacular job. Let's get to the next one. This next one was one of my early on premium knives, mid-tier knives type of a deal. This is an Eric Oakes design. It's a collaboration with Drop. You're getting a RWL 34 stonewash blade. This has a modified drop point, modified sheep's foot style blade. It's very unique and I love it. Look at the little taper at the very end that goes down to the tip, and you have this long upsweeping belly. I just love it because you can put your pointer finger up there, and wherever that pointer finger is, that tip is going to be right below it. So you can do some very precision type cuts with this thing. You have a full size finger choil here. In my opinion, this thing is aesthetically, it's beautiful. It's a nice mid-sized knife. It's not a big knife by any stretch of the imagination, but it makes a perfect EDC knife. A great secondary. You have this micro milled G10 handle. The hardware is phenomenal. You have a little lanyard hole there. You have a nice titanium pocket clip here. You have the drop pivot there. Open construction. It's pretty thick here. Not overly thick, but nice and hand feeling. And my favorite thing about this is look at that blade stock. I forget 100% what it is, but it is a thick beast. Let's check it because now I want to know. So it's like 155 thousandths. So it's pretty thick for the size of this knife. And it comes down, guys, ultra thin. This thing is a slicing beast. You have a nice thick stock here going to that tip, which is going to make that nice and strong. You have great access with the little chamfer there on the titanium liner. Great action, great acoustics. Dual thumb studs and that flipper tab make for a nice little fidgety knife as well. Love the Eric Oakes links. Go to Caviso Outdoors. I'll link them down below to pick one of these up. Definitely a great EDC knife. Next up is one I picked up earlier this year, and I'm a huge fan of this knife at the price point. right around $100. When I picked this up, I got it for $80. So it was a hell of a deal. You're getting a stone washed VG10 modified Warncliffe blade. This thing has a crazy blade length on it. Very nice and thin and slicey. Full flat grind. This thing is an EDC animal. Would be great in the kitchen. It would make for a pretty damn good work knife as well. You have that big opening hole there for your thumb and reverse flicks. You have a nice neutral titanium handle here. It's been anodized like a blurple. You have micro milling, triangular milling areas. You have a titanium pocket clip and backspacer. The Knock Knives collaboration with Tacray, the DTO3. This is one of my favorite knives in that price point. And VG10, if done right, guys, is a phenomenal steel. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Just because one or two drama queens don't like VG10, for whatever reason, VG10 is a pretty damn tough steel. It's got good corrosion resistance, good edge retention. I mean, there's nothing to hate about VG10. There's a reason why Spyderco still uses it on some of their around $100 knives. It's a good steel if done properly. Nice ergos on this guy. You do have good access with a nice big chamfer, and this will make it to the end of the year as one of my favorite under $100 knives. No, it did not come out this year, but it's still going to make that list with the little asterisk by it. I absolutely love this thing. It's a beast. The DT03 by Knock Knives and Tacray. Let's get to the next one. Next up, we have one that I thought was going to be a big hit. The Cold Steel Engage. This is the full-size boy here. The Cold Steel fans, I'm sure, hopped right on this, and they were pleasantly surprised. But ever since these dropped, I haven't seen much on these since then. And that does tend to happen in the knife world. It's always on to the next best thing, the next thing. And that's kind of why I'm doing this video. And I'm going to continue doing videos just like this, just to kind of bring these knives back to the spotlight. But you have a beautiful satin blade in S35VN. It's kind of a modified drop point. Doesn't really clip at all. I could see where it looks like it might be a clip point, but it doesn't really clip up. You have a nice, strong slope to the tip here. Love that blade shape. You have Cold Steel's nice, thick temple studs. Great ergos on this G10 handle. You're kind of locked in place here by these two guards. The ergos are good. I think even if you had smaller hands, bigger hands than me, now if they were massive hands, like I mean gorilla hands, then you might have trouble. But I have pretty big hands, and I fit on here very comfortably. And I think even someone with even bigger hands would probably be fine on this guy. You have a nice minimal pocket clip from Cold Steel. Typically, they have big, bulky, long clips. For Cold Steel, that is definitely minimal. And I don't mind that clip one bit. It's nice and deep, very short, not very wide. So I think it's good to go in my book. Nice retention. And one of the best features, or the best feature on this knife, is that Atlas lock. Very comparable to the Shark lock. Some people like the Shark lock more. Some people like the Atlas lock more. I would say people probably tend to go to the Shark lock. With that being said, they most likely haven't tried the Atlas lock, in my opinion. I have both. I like both a lot. Once you get used to the placement of the Atlas lock, the Shark lock is a little higher. The Atlas lock is, I think, smoother, and I think it's actually stronger. I don't know that for sure, but I think it is stronger than the Shark lock. It's just, it's it's done differently. It's similar but different, and this is a thick, piece of steel here that travels up and down on this track, locking in that tang there. You can see it just snap right in when that opens. That clamps around the tang. When you pull this down, it unclamps. It folds right down. It's nice and buttery smooth. You have a front flipper here that I don't know if it was actually designed to be a front flipper, but it works very well under the right circumstance. If your hands aren't all sweaty or whatever, it works very good. There's no jimping or anything like that, but if you catch it right on the tip there, it will open every single time, and it thwacks out too if you don't mess it up like I just did there. But the cold steel engage, I think, needs to be brought back to the spotlight. S35, an awesome lock. This thing is built to be a heavy duty user. I love it. Let's go on to the next one. So this one I just had to put on the list. This was the first SOG that I bought since I was a teenager. They really went downhill. Then they started trying to climb back up that hill. And I think they've done a pretty good job. They need to start putting out some more models, staying with higher quality steels like they did here. They went with CTS XHP on this Vision XR. The SOG Vision XR is a Tanto blade with XHP. It's got a PVD coating. I love this blade shape. I love Tantos. It's proven itself very useful. You have some jimping up there on the spine. You have dual thumb studs and a rear flipper tab that all work exceptionally well, guys. This thing is tuned to the gills. They have their XR lock, which is SOG's version of a crossbar lock. And instead of the little round half circular balls that a lot of companies use, they use these stepped tabs. And guys, it is probably the most comfortable crossbar lock to disengage or even open with. It just feels so good. You could do it all day long. Some of them, can start to feel rough on your fingers. Not all, but some. But this one is actually just comfortable to disengage. The action's good. The edge came nice. Great material choices. This is like an FRN with micro milling done. And then you have a lower mounted pocket clip. That's probably the only thing I'm not the biggest fan of on this knife. But with that all being said, I can see why they did it. And the reason they did it is so you can get this out of your pocket real quickly. And then when you're done, put it back in your pocket very easily because you have this nice thumb-sized area to get it in and out. So I see why they did it, and I can't knock SOG for doing it that way just because. And when I bought this, it was around $130, I think, which is an exceptional deal for a nice crossbar lock. You have dual deployments, XHP steel, nice comfortable ergos on this bad boy. There's a lot to love here. And I think SOG, if they continue down this road, they're going to be doing some good things here in the future. Let's go to the next one. So the next one we have here is a Gavco and Drop collaboration. This is the Gavco Nurse. I absolutely love this thing. You have a belt satin S35VN sheep's foot blade. You have an elongated hole here and a rear flipper tab for your deployment options. This thing is buttery smooth. Now, the original OEM of this knife, I'm not sure if it was WE or if it was Riot. I think it was Riot, but I'm not 100% sure. I used to know, and I forget now at this point. But this is a perfect secondary carry. Nice little gentleman style knife. It's nice and clean, not real big. It's not real small either, though. You have an anodized pocket clip here in titanium. Nice open construction with lots of milling. It's nice and light, buttery smooth action. premium materials, and this is another one you can pick up over at Caviso Outdoors. Love that place. They carry a lot of drops, knives that they used to have. The Gavco Nurse is an exceptional knife. Do not forget about this one. It is outstanding. Let's get to the last one. The last one we have, guys, is one of my favorite knives of all time. This is the full-size Kubi Atlas, the premium version in S35 VN steel. You have this nice, high-polished, sandblasted sheep's foot blade. Kubi loves their sandblast, and it's held up well for me. I've had this knife for probably a year, and I've had no corrosion issues. I've had no issues with markings or anything like that. So it's fine. You know, if it holds up and resists corrosion, I'm fine with it. I don't want it on every knife, but some knives, I don't mind it at all if it holds up. With this, you have a fuller and an enlarged pill-shaped hole. You have a rear flipper tab. This thing is a fidget monster, and it comes in well over 8 inches. It's a beast. You have almost 4 inches of total blade, and it's past 8 3/4 overall. You have incredibly good action. The aesthetic of this thing is just phenomenal. You have some nice little blue-green accents that are titanium, nice geared titanium backspacer, titanium pocket clip. The hardware is all titanium. Jelly Jerry design. This thing is exceptional. If you're looking for a full-size EDC knife, work knife that's going to be comfortable, that you can use all day long, easy in and out of the pocket, great access with a chamfer on this guy, and there's some micro milling done on it as well. Multiple ways to open it with the fuller, the hole, the flipper tab. Just an ingenious design. Love the Kubi Atlas. And these range, you know, the price ranges on these depending on where you get it, but they're going to be like 150 bucks, let's just say. They could be less, they could be more, but I've seen them go as low as like $100 or like $110. So definitely one to keep your eye on out. If you can get this for under like 140 bucks, it is a phenomenal knife, especially if you like bigger knives, have bigger hands. This thing is an incredible workhorse, and you would be completely happy to have this in your collection as one of your knives. As a user, EDC work knife, this is one of my all-time favorite knives. That'll wrap it up, guys. If you're new here, click that GBALL Vision logo, or down below, I would love to have you here. Hit that subscribe button. Give the video a thumbie. Leave me a cummy down below. I'll throw up 2 new videos for you to check out. You're definitely going to want to go check out this one right here. Love you guys, and I will catch you on the next one.